Welcome to Humbled Highs, Kingpin to Kingdom, where the streets met surrender and grace rewrote the story. I'm your host, Andrew Kirkland. Now let's get into it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Humbled Highs, Kingpin to Kingdom podcast. I want to thank you so much to start off with, to let you know that I've gotten a lot of good feedback from you. I've been putting a lot of these short clips on social media, and I feel like it's been giving a lot of people some inspiration. My first episode on season 2 was about value. So if you haven't seen that, I'd love for you to go back and check that out. Today, we're going to be talking about integrity. What is integrity? What does it mean to live with integrity? What does the Bible say about the benefits of living with integrity? And let me just define it, because words without meaning are just words. And if we can apply a word like integrity to our life, we can grow spiritually, we can grow as a person, and we can grow to help other people. The people in your lives are going to benefit for you being a man or a woman who lives with integrity. And that's what I want to help you do. Now, none of us are perfect, so none of us are going to live with 100% integrity. The only one that can do that is God. You know, He is perfect, and He is whole. That's where they get the word holy from. He is whole and complete. He never has to lie. In fact, God cannot lie. That's one of the things He cannot do. But me, I can lie. I find myself lying sometimes about the stupidest things that don't make any sense why I would say it. And then I look back and I shake my head and I do a face palm and I'm like, why did I say that? You know? And sometimes we just can't back ourselves out of holes that are so deep that we've lost our integrity completely to people. So let's first try to define it in a way that we can all understand what integrity means. And I also always like to think about, what does the opposite of that word mean? That always helps me understand and apply it. So integrity means being fully integrated, having an integrated life, meaning imagine pieces of a puzzle are scattered pieces. They're not together, but when you put them together, they're integrated. They make a whole piece. So what is the opposite of integrated or integrity? That would be segmented. So what's it like to be a segmented person? Because most of us are segmented people. There's a person who you are with your partner. There's a person who you are with your children. There's a person who you are at work, at play, with your friends. There's a person who you are at church too, that everybody thinks is perfect. But who are you really? Do you find yourself becoming a different person to different crowds, to different audiences? And doesn't that weigh on you? It weighed on me for so long. And today I want to talk about that, how I can help you and how the Bible has helped me become a person who has more integrity. I'm not going to say I have full integrity, because I'd be lying and lose integrity by saying that. So, um, a story about me as a kingpin drug dealer. So, I lived by what I would call an alter ego. Uh, I was Andrew to people, but my customers called me Batman. I know that may sound corny, but I grew up loving comic books. I collected them, had a great collection, lost that collection in a flood, but I don't like to think about that. But I wanted people to call me by an alter ego. And I kind of wanted to live like Bruce Wayne in the daytime and Batman at night. So I was two different people. And the Batman was a psychopath. The Batman didn't care what he said to your face. The Batman was a really evil guy, but Andrew or Bruce Wayne could go to Walmart, could be nice to people, would go to the gym, would get massages, would go on vacations, and nobody knew that he was the evil drug dealer. So I had a complete segmented life. And that's just an extreme example of what that means. And I'm sure you're thinking, how do I be that person? How do I be that person that's the same in all my audiences everywhere that I go? Well, that's a tough question, um, and it's something that it probably bothers all of us to our core. That why can't I feel comfortable in my own skin and be that same person? I want to give you one of these old school definitions of where we get this word hypocrite from, and being a person without integrity also means you're a hypocrite. People say it's doing one thing and saying one thing and doing the other, telling somebody to live by a standard but not living it on their own. The best example I can come up with is a dirty cop. You know, they're a hypocrite. They don't have integrity. I love and respect cops, but that's just the best example I could think of off the top of my head. So where does that word hypocrite come from? So, thousands of years ago, and probably somebody's going to want to correct me on this, but I'm shooting off the top of my head, but it's just a story. So, check it out. Thousands of years ago, they would have plays in the Roman theaters, but typically there would be only 1 to 3 actors that would play all the roles of the people in the play. So, how did the people differentiate the audience from which roles were played? Well, let's say you go out there and you play the role of the main lead, and when your lines are done, you go backstage. You go and you put on a mask that signifies that you're a different character. And when you come out and address the audience, they see that you have a different face, a different mask on. And you know what they called that person? A hypocritos. So that was a person that wore many masks. So you can see that the word hypocrite and a segmented life has the same connotations, the same kind of meaning. That means that you're a person who wears different masks to different people. And I want to tell you, if you think that's okay and that's resting with you well, and you've done well with that, I'm telling you, when you're alone at night and you're thinking about it, you're not settled with that feeling. You want to be just one person. You want to be a man or a woman who has integrity, who doesn't have to remember which mask to put on to which audience, who can be at peace and comfortable with who they are all the time with all their audiences. Imagine if you had a drone or quiet drone that flew around with you and videotaped and recorded every word that you said. And then imagine all the people in your life that you come in contact with, your work, your mate, your children, your church folk, all those people all sat in a movie theater and they watched you live your life. Would you be okay with what they saw? Would your wife or your husband be okay with what you said and how you acted around your friends? Would the people at church be okay with how you talk and how you carry yourself and how you treat people at work? I don't know. It does make people kind of take a step back and say, if I'm not okay with that, then I'm not okay with myself and I have an issue with integrity. I'm going to flat out tell you that as much as I can, I would feel comfortable, aside from me going to the bathroom, that camera being shown to every single person in my life. This person that who I am right now talking to you is the exact same person I am at work, with my wife, with my kid, at church, and I'm very comfortable now with who I am. I've had to come to grips with the fact that lying and trying to manipulate people never really helps. I only have to keep a record of everything that I say and which mask to put on, and it becomes tiresome and it becomes exhausting and it becomes a sad life because I lose track of who I really am. I lose track of the the lies that I've put out there. It's just so much easier to be one person to all people, to be loving and kind and respectful to all people. And there's some dirty, dark corners that we all have to face. The lies that we've told to people, we have to come to grips and be honest about who we really are. That the things that I've said have tried to impress people for reasons to be more accepted and more approved and to have doors open. And it just gets so old and it gets tiring. When you get good at being fake, you also get good at forgetting who you really are. And the longer you go living without integrity, the easier it is to forget who you really are. And don't you want to reconnect with who you really are? Who are you, really? If you're not trying to impress somebody or get status or get likes on social media for your looks, then who are you really? There's a thing about integrity that it's when you start to live with it, then it becomes like a compass. You don't need to scheme or manipulate anymore. The right path for your life starts to become clear. In Proverbs 11:3, Solomon, who was the wisest man who ever lived, he wrote this book in Ecclesiastes and Proverbs, and he talks quite a bit about integrity. So he says in Proverbs 11:3, the integrity of the upright guides them like a compass. Um, in Proverbs 10:9, Solomon also says, the one who lives with integrity lives securely, but whoever perverts his ways will be found out. And doesn't that itch at you in the back of your neck? The things that we've said, they're going to be found out. The things that we say in the darkness and that we do in the darkness, we know inherently in ourselves that they're eventually going to come to the light, and that gives you a underlying anxiety about living life, living without integrity. It's that it's going to come to light one day. An extreme example is if you are with a partner and you're going outside of your marriage or outside of your relationship and pursuing other people online or in person, that fear is imminent. It's like you're trying to disable a bomb that's going to explode, and it's going to come to light. Now, if you're actually engaged in one of those, I would encourage you to do your best to break off that relationship, to come clean, because you're probably also lying to that other person that you're engaged with as well. You're not only lying to one person, but you're lying to two people, and you're lying to yourself. And it's just best to come clean, because even if you end that relationship, you're always going to be looking out for that random text message that comes through when you're chilling with your girl or with your man, and it's from that person that you burnt. Because sex has a way of connecting people that is eternal and substantial. So even if you think you're doing a fling, then that is going to come back when you break it off with that person. And so it's time to really be honest with everybody that's involved. And if that destroys the relationship, then that's the price it costs to live with integrity. Integrity is costly, but compromising your integrity is more expensive. So it's just always easier on the front end to be honest. If a beautiful woman approaches me and the temptation is there, then it's just better to not flirt with that, to not play along as if I'm the single man and just see where it goes. It's best to just come with integrity and say, "Look, I appreciate you appreciating me. I really do, but I'm a happily married man, and there's nothing that I would ever dream of that is better than my relationship with my wife. And boom, that settles it. That gets it out of the way. Another thing that integrity does is that it guards you like armor. And God honors those people with integrity who are patient and honest. David wrote in Psalm 25:21, integrity and uprightness will watch over you. So there's a great security in living with integrity, that it is like a bulletproof vest. Um, it's hard to give an example of this that I can think of off the top of my head, but all I can say is you don't have to keep a list of the things that you've said to other people. That who you are is who you are, and if people don't like it, then they can kick rocks. When you start living with integrity, you get a new sense of confidence in yourself, that the people that are hanging around you, that want to spend time with you, are actually there because they like you for who you are. When you stop telling the lie that you used to be in UFC, and or you've got a black belt in jujitsu, or all these things in the past. I used to be a professional kicker, or I had plans to do all these things, and it's all bull crap, and it's all just words that you're trying to get people to draw to somebody that you're not. And then you've got to remember all those bull crap lies that you told somebody just so they would like you. Isn't it just better to have people that like you for you? It's way better. And if they don't like you for you, then you know it up front, and there's plenty of other fish out there for you to mingle with. You don't need to worry about the people at your work thinking that you're not cool because you like to go home and play video games. You'll find a group of people that like to do that eventually. It may not be in your city, but you'll find your group of people that like you for you. If you need to go to the Renaissance Festival once a year to find a new friend, because most people might think that that's weird, that you want to dress up like a knight and carry a sword and call yourself sir, whatever. There are people out there that like you for that, and you don't have to pretend to be somebody else. Integrity is doing the right thing when nobody is watching. That's about as simple of the definition. And I gave you the example of a camera following you around and showing that to your friends and family and your partner. But there's good news that even when nobody is watching, God is out there and he watches every move that you make. Can you take some sort of pride in noticing that the creator of the universe sees you and that you do the right thing every single time? Well, we're not perfect, so not every single time. But we try to bat 1,000, and if we hit 900, then we're good. We're as good as we can get. Okay. So I want to let you know that I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We strive for integrity, but we'll never be holy. We can strive for it, but that's about as good as God can ask of us, is to have that desire to be the same person, to do what is good when no one's watching, and know that God will give you that credit because you live for Him. A great thing I've learned since being a drug dealer is that integrity opens doors that charisma and money won't open. Being that person all the time will eventually lead you to the path that you need to be at, not by coercing or manipulating to get those doors open. And I want you to feel peace in knowing that having integrity is hard, but the payoffs are so much greater than the way that you're used to living, to using your mouth and lies and deception and manipulation and living a segmented life will eventually just leave you empty and forgetting who you really are. If you want to reconnect with who you really are, then you start believing in what God says about you, that you were created beautifully and perfectly, that He broke the mold when He made you, and He didn't make you to be anybody else. All the other roles are taken. You are to be you, and that means you're going to have to come to grips. And I know if this is touching you in your heart, it's going to be difficult. There's going to be some truths that are going to be told, and some admissions of lies. There's going to have to be some changes in your behavior that result in you maybe losing friends that would have never wanted to be your friend if you hadn't manipulated them into it. And I want to tell you, once you're on the other side of living with integrity, you've got peace, and you've got a commitment to God that is unchanging, and it becomes an addiction. And I want you guys to live in that freedom of having integrity and knowing yourself and being okay with how God made you. If there's anybody out there, if there's an area of your life that looks good on the outside, looks good to public, but underneath it's rotten, then I want to tell you there, God gives you what's called grace, and that's something that you don't deserve, a fresh start. And you can start today, right now, with the small things that you've lived a hypocritical life over. And you can turn to God and ask Him for His protection. You can ask Him for other people's compassion as you become open and honest about some of the things that you've done and some of the things that you've said, that you want to come clean. And I know that I'm not alone in this. I know that everybody struggles with having integrity, especially in this world, this online world where everyone lives with their front stage and their pictures and their Instagram and their Facebook, but the backstage is a mess. And I'm telling you, it's so much better to take that curtain down and let everybody see your backstage. Everybody's a mess. Everybody just wants to portray that they live a perfect and beautiful life when it's not true. I have problems every day. And living with integrity has so many more benefits than living a segmented life where you're a hypocrite and you manipulate people. So, guys, this is the end of the episode, and I really appreciate you listening and giving me your time. If you'd like to connect with me, you can go on my website. That's fromkingpintokingdom.com. On my website is a link to my book with the same name, From Kingpin to Kingdom. And there's multiple other resources on there. My social media links are on there. The podcast links are on there. You can find it on YouTube at Humbled Highs. And there's many other services. If you'd like me to pray for you, if you'd like one-on-one sessions, that's all on the website. So until next time, be good and shine bright. Thanks for listening. For more, visit FromKingpinToKingdom.com. If this story moved you, share it. Somebody else might need it more than you know.